Good evening and welcome to our November Committee of the Whole meeting. The Board of Trustees of Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District is now convened in the Committee of the Whole meeting on Thursday, November 10th, 2016, in the boardroom of the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Instructional Support Center, 10300 Jones Road, Houston, Texas, at 6 p.m., for the purpose of reviewing that portion of the Monday, November 14th, 2016 school board agenda designated as action items and to hear designated reports and recognitions posted in the meeting notice as required by Texas law. No action will be taken at this meeting. I want to welcome the members of our audience and our television viewers to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Cypress-Fairbanks Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear their matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by sections 551.071 to 551.084 inclusive of the Texas Government Code. These proceedings are airing live on CFTV Channel 16 and CFTV Online on the district website. They will also be rebroadcast through the month on Channel 16 and available as video on demand on the website. For the tape to adequately reflect the meetings, I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that your cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. Our first item is an action item to review our consensus action items. 5A, the board will consider approving the tax refunds of $500 or greater for Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. B, the board will consider approving the minutes of the October 10th, 2016 regular meeting. Those are our consensus items. We'll look at our non-consensus, and some of those we may move to the consensus. 6A, the board will consider awarding bids and contracts and/or authorizing purchase orders as recommended in the posted agenda item. 1, marketing services. 2, music supplies. 3, point of sale, and that is it. Do we have any questions on any of those items? You want to ask about that? You want to ask about the marketing? Okay, great. Any, Christine, any questions? Ms. Hartley?
No, I was just looking at the point of sale. I was just curious, is that something that's getting ready to start, or is that in place right now?
Okay. That is on item number 3, the point of sale system.
Yes.
I think Matt is going to answer that.
Thanks.
I couldn't hear the question.
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Morgan.
didn't have my mic on, thanks. I was just curious, so is that something we're recommending to put into the stadiums, or is it,
There's currently a point of sale system at the Berry Center. This is a replacement for the Berry Center and Pridgeon.
Okay, good, thanks.
Yes,
I've
ma'am.
been to a lot of games and noticed different things, and so that's why I was just curious, so
Something new.
I think it'd be great. Thank you.
And Mr. Covey?
Back on the marketing end of it, I was wondering if somebody could kind of tell me exactly what we're doing here. I understand we're hiring an advertising agency, so can you kind of explain what we're doing with this? Who does that?
I can give you a brief overview of what the focus is. Really, we've reached out to a marketing firm, a PR firm, to help us develop a strategic plan for really marketing the district. There is a real desire from Dr. Henry, and I think even the board, of us, really getting information out in our community and making certain that we're targeting all of the different stakeholders in our community. I think we do a great job of communicating with our parents and providing information about what's going on to our schools, but we want to expand that communication and marketing of the district to include all of those folks in our community, the business partners, the empty nesters, the young families that may not have children in our system. I think the statistic is that about 70% of our community does not have students in our schools. And so we need to reach out and target those folks and make certain they know the value and the benefit of having a strong public school system in their community. I mean, Cypress-Fairbanks is clearly the hub of this community, and so they're going to help us develop that plan. It may include even things like billboards, commercials, a social media campaign, a lot of different marketing strategies. We haven't worked out any details at this point in time. We just felt that we needed to consult with a firm separate from the school district so that we can make certain that we stay marketing and not just doing communication. So.
Also falls into the state requiring us to report our communication capabilities and what we're doing as far as getting the information out and meeting what their minimum requirements are, just like our community involvement. What's a case? Yeah. So it kind of falls in line with that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it definitely will help provide documentation for that.
Right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kobe. Can that item be put on consensus, ladies and gentlemen? Yes. All right. B, the board will consider approving the budget amendments for the period of July 1st, 2016 through September 30th, 2016. Any questions on that? May that be put on the consensus agenda? Great. C, the board will consider approving the district's 2016 comprehensive annual financial report and accept the auditor's report on the district's general purpose financial statements for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2016. And we do have a presentation from Mr. Snow and Ms. Smith about this item.
Thank you, President Mingoya, members of the board, and Dr. Henry. We have completed the preparation of our comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2016, and our independent auditors, Weaver and Tidwell, have completed its audit of those financial statements and have issued its independent auditor's report on those financial statements for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2016, as well as its report on our federal financial programs. But before we present the comprehensive annual financial report, I want to recognize and thank Karen Smith and Mabel Isles and Annette Pete and Melissa McInerney and the rest of the finance department staff for their work on preparing this CAFR and the audit schedules and working with the auditors. And Mabel Isles is here tonight, and I just want her to stand up and recognize her and thank her especially. She just does an incredible job. She does. She just does an incredible job. She and her team, accounting and reporting and keeping our finances in order. And we're just especially proud of her and her team. And they're just real assets to this district. So I want to thank them. I also want to recognize Stephanie Meagle and her team for designing the beautiful CAFR cover that you can see. That CAFR is placed at your desk at the dais. Also, Deborah Kirkham and Justin Herbert with Weaver and Tidwell, our auditors, are here tonight to present their audit opinion and the single audit reports. But at this time, I want to turn it over to Karen Smith to make a presentation on the overall general fund year-end financial statements. A PDF copy of the CAFR and the single audit report, I believe, is loaded on your computer with a link on your desktop. In fact, it may not even be linked. It may be just embedded in your board book there. as well as printed and bound copies at your place, as I mentioned at the board dais. So with that, I would want to turn it over to Karen Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Snow. Darcy Mongolia, President Mongolia, and Dr. Henry, I'm pleased to present you the district's financial results for the year ended June 30, 2016. And you should have a copy of the comprehensive annual financial report, as well as the PowerPoint presentation, as well as the federal single audit report. And that particular report is over our federal grants. And then also you should have a copy of the communication letter from Weaver and Tidwell. Before you here is the district's general fund financial information, and this is the main operating fund of the school district. You will see for the year ended June 30th, 2016, that the district had total revenues of $878.6 million and total expenditures of $826.2 million, resulting in an excess of revenues over expenditures of $52.4 million. Then included in that, in the district's net change in fund balance would also be other sources, financing sources, and that is from the sale of property, which is the district's auction sales, and then also the proceeds that we receive from Club Rewind, that is their net income for the year. That's the $997,000. Resulting in total net change to fund balance of $53.7 million, resulting in an ending fund balance for the general fund of $401.8 million. Some of the general fund highlights that I'd like to bring to your attention is that the district had an increase in fund balance of $53.7 million. It included an increase in total revenues from the prior year of $17.7 million. And if you look at your comprehensive annual financial report on page 32, you will see the details of the district's revenues over expenditures. And function 41, which is general administration, that is which represents basically the general administration at the school district, and that is 1.8% of total expenditures. That is less than the state average of 3%. Also, the district's administrative cost ratio for 2015-16 was 3.76%. This is also less than what the state recommends as a maximum, or well, not a maximum, but what they would consider the ideal threshold for school districts that have an average daily attendance of 10,000 or more. I'm now going to turn it over to Debbie Kirkham so she can give you the audit report on the district's financial statements as well as the federal single audit, and then we'll both be available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Karen. The summary of auditors' results this year, the audit opinion is also a clean opinion, referred to is called an unmodified opinion, and there were no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses or non-compliance as it relates to the financial statement. Our audit was performed in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and also government auditing standards that are issued by the Comptroller General of the United States. In regards to the federal single audit report, the program that we tested this year was the special ed cluster, and also it received an unmodified clean opinion, and there were no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses or non-compliance as it relates to those programs. And be glad to answer any questions that you might have at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Kirkham and Ms. Smith. Any questions? Mr. Covey?
Yeah, and Karen, I just think this is, number one, y'all do an awesome job. You do. And Stuart, it's nice to know that it's not just you doing this, because I know you get the accolades a lot. But anyway, and I'm sure that's because you played baseball at Tech, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, Karen, the fund balance, and I know there's a lot of people look at our fund balance and go, well, why don't you use that money elsewhere instead of in the fund balance? But it has a lot to do with our rating system, and it has a lot to do with government controls. Is that not correct?
That's correct, and that's actually an excellent question. And, you know, number one, Texas Education Agency recommends that you actually have a certain number of months in fund balance, minimum of 2, but they like to see 3 to 4 months in fund balance. And that's basically to take care of, it's kind of the equivalent when you think of the state's rainy day fund, so to speak. It's there for any emergencies or anything that's unexpected that it could occur. And, you know, our monthly expenditures are over $60 million a month. So when you look at that, you're trying to have enough to cover those expenditures. Also, our rating agencies for our bonds, they like to see that we have a healthy fund balance and that we can weather any financial storms that might be out there. You know, whenever we had the drop in the funding from the state, we still were highly, you know, respected by all of the rating agencies because we had such a healthy fund balance. And so it helps in that way also.
This legislative session that there's a strong possibility there's going to be another one of those problems without the monies being available. So I applaud y'all for doing this. Thank you.
I like to look at the fund balance in terms of the number of days, expenditures, and that $401.8 million represents operations of the 177 and a half days. So that provides us with an adequate cushion, like Karen said, if you know, we run into some emergencies or have to, you know, a tornado that goes through our district and hits several buildings at one time. We can support that and provide the necessary assistance to be able to stay online on that.
And the other benefit that just hit me regarding that is that we have enough cash flow to where, you know, when districts don't have enough cash flow and fund balance there, you know, previously the district years ago had to take out tax anticipation notes just to meet expenditures until your property taxes start coming in. And that saves taxpayers money because we don't have to do that.
Any other questions? Ms. Hartley?
I just wanted to, and thank you, Bob, for asking that question, but I also just think it's really important to point out what a great job, anytime we look at finances and look at where the money is going, and for our administration costs to be so, percentages to be so low, 1.8, 3.76. I just want to applaud all the management here and you guys for keeping it there and putting them as much money as possible into our students, into the classrooms, and for our employees. So thanks.
Well, I would suggest that we perhaps not put that item on consent, if that's okay. And you guys covered item number D, but I'm going to read it. The board will consider approving the auditor's report on the district's fiscal year ended June 30th, 2016, required by the provisions of a Single Audit Act of 1984 as amended, entitled 2 U.S. Code of Federal Regulations, CFR, Part 200, Uniform Administrative Requirements, Cost Principles, and Audit Requirements for Federal Awards Uniform Guidance, because I just felt like we needed to have a few more words said like that. So we're not going to put either C or D on consent agenda. All right, the board will consider approving on first reading additions, revisions, or deletions to the district policies. 1, CDC local other revenues, grants from private sources. That's an addition. 2, EHBD local special programs, federal Title I revision. And that is it for those. Does anyone have any questions on that? Does everyone feel comfortable putting that on consent agenda? All right, F, the board will consider approving on second readings additions, revisions, or deletions to district policies. 1, CLE, local building, grounds, and equipment management, flag displays, that's an addition. DNB, local performance appraisal, evaluation of other professional employees, revision. And that is the only 2 items there. Any questions on those items? All right. Is everyone comfortable putting that on consent? Ms. Hartley? Great. So that can go on as consent. The board will consider approving a request for a Texas Education Agency waiver to allow high school students to early release during semester exam administration. Any questions on this item? This is our typical thing that we do. You've got a question?
No, I'm just glad that we're gonna actually get paid for them leaving early, because they are gonna leave early.
Well, if you don't have an exam and your class isn't being held because of the exam schedule, what else would you do? You need to leave. All right. Everyone feel comfortable putting that on consent? H, the board will consider approving the district instructional material recommendations for the algebraic reasoning course. Any questions on that item?
Not smart enough to ask.
Somebody explain the entire item to me?
You know, A plus B equals C. That's the algebra thing. Okay. Everybody feel comfortable enough to put that on consensus?
I'm real comfortable with that.
All right. Now this we will do a Monday. The board will consider approving the naming of elementary school 55, elementary school 56, and the adaptive behavior center. And that will be on Monday. So stay tuned for that. Come back for that. J, the board will consider approving construction proposals and contracts paid from the 2014 bond funds to the recommended contractor and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents related to such contracts. As follows: 1, 2016 Holmesley Elementary School renovation. Any questions on that item? Does everyone feel comfortable that going to, great, that will go on consensus also. K, the board will consider approving and authorizing the superintendent or designee to enter into the miscellaneous professional service contract related to the following project, 2016 Holmesley Elementary School renovations. Any questions on that item? May that go to consensus? Well, that'll go to consensus. L, the board will consider approving the granting of a temporary construction easement to KB Home Lone Star, Inc. to perform grading operations along a portion of the east property line at Cypress Creek High School, New Matsky Elementary School, and authorize the superintendent or designee to negotiate the final terms and execute all related documents. Any questions on that item? Does everyone feel comfortable having that go to consent? All right, that'll go to consent. That leaves us with only one more item for tonight, but I think it will take a little while to talk about, and that will be our board discussion. A, the board will discuss the establishment, and this is a 3-month process. I want to let everyone know that we're going to be working on this, not just tonight. We're not going to be making a decision on this on Monday. We're just beginning to look at these boundary changes. The board, and there will be plenty of opportunity for citizens to participate online and get comments to us, etc. The board will discuss the establishment of attendance boundaries for elementary school number 55, elementary school number 56, and Matsky Elementary School replacement campus. And I believe Ms. Hall is going to start our presentation tonight.
Yes, this evening we would like to present to you our recommendations for the establishment of boundaries for the 3 campuses you mentioned. Just for clarification for our viewing audience, Elementary 55 will be located in the Bridgeland. And then Elementary 56 is the campus that will be located next to Joel Elementary that will have a different grade configuration than what we've had with our other elementary schools. 56 will be a pre-K through 2nd grade campus, and what we are looking to do is expand the Joel attendance zone so that we can then basically serve twice as many students in that area, and that provides enrollment relief to campuses in that area of the district. In addition, the Matsky replacement campus, as you know, with the 2014 bond proposal, we approved the building of a replacement campus for Matsky Elementary in order to accommodate the growth that we've experienced in that portion of the district, and those are older facilities with a much smaller capacity, so it's been difficult trying to provide relief to them and their attendance boundaries. So the Matsky replacement campus will have to expand the Matsky attendance zone. in order to accommodate that. So moving on to really just the things that we considered as we started developing the proposal that we're going to share with you tonight. On the screen, you'll see a list of items that we always try to take into consideration. It would be great if we could do all of the things that are listed there, but we certainly try to look at all of those factors. The campus feeder systems, trying to limit the number of middle schools that these elementaries are having to feed. Definitely a priority to try to keep communities and neighborhoods together as much as possible. But as you know, with elementary schools having, a smaller number of students than secondary campuses, that's not always possible, but we try to keep portions of a community together. So with Bridgeland, of course, we're going to have to make some division there, like we've done with Copperfield communities and Fairfield communities. But we do try to keep sections of those communities together as much as possible. Obviously, we have to look at long-term projections. We try to go 5 years out at minimum and looking at enrollment projections to see if we're going to see a trend in continued growth or just steady growth or steady enrollment of those schools. The geographical proximity of students to schools. Would be great if that could always happen, that we build this nice little round attendance boundary around every campus, but just the actual physical location of some of our schools makes it difficult, but we do try to look at that. We definitely consider input from the community, as you mentioned in your introduction. This is a 3-month process, and we're going to talk about the process for providing that input from the community. The location of thoroughfares, creeks, easements, and other structures as far as what we use to draw those boundaries. Instead of just one street, it would be major thoroughfares, a major creek or easement. And then we really try to make every effort to minimize the changes and try to minimize the number of future movement for those kids in a particular area. And then, of course, we have to take in school capacities into consideration. The next slide is really kind of providing you with an overview of the timeline that we're going to follow. Tonight, again, we're just going to share with you what the recommendation is for establishment of these attendance boundaries. But you can see that there's not going to be action, we're not going to be asking for you to take action and approve any attendance boundaries until January. So throughout the next 3 months, our community will have the opportunity to go online and provide input to the administration and to you on the proposals that we share here. We'll come back in December at the Committee of the Whole meeting in December and review the input that we've received for the last month and share with you if we are recommending any modifications or changes to the proposals we share tonight. And then, again, continue the process of input until January, and then ask for your final approval of attendance boundaries in January. We, as you know, in the past, and will continue that practice, every Friday, we will be sending you all of the community input that we've received throughout this process, and certainly welcome anything that you would like us to consider throughout the next 3 months, just shooting us an email or sharing that with us that we can possibly look at and then provide you during the board discussions over the next couple of months. The next slide is sharing with you the folks that participated in this boundary committee. And those that are here, I would like for them to stand up and just be recognized. This is not an easy process. This is really a very long, involved process. Okay, folks that are back there. We have student services, we have school administration, we have the educational support services and student services, obviously, and then accountability, Department of Accountability, and then can't say enough about the planning services team with Christy Giron and Blanca Cooper and Laura Lawless. And we met over several months in trying to develop the proposals that we're sharing with you. In addition, we work closely with PASA, our external demographer, and kind of looking at the different scenarios and what they were kind of projecting and seeing as growth in the different areas that may be impacted. As far as trying to get the information out, informing the community, after we share this proposal with you tonight, obviously all the information we will post online. There will be access to the video of this meeting for community members to look at. In addition, we will post the PowerPoint and maps and all of that information here. And then we're going to work closely with the campuses that would be impacted by any of these recommended changes to send out information through their newsletters, through school messenger, any form of communication that they use. It's a little bit easier at elementary because they have lots of take-home communication that they share with parents. In addition to that, we will also send out a school messenger district-wide. And that really just kind of makes everyone aware that this boundary process is taking place, because it could be that folks are looking at even purchasing a home in a particular area. So it really does provide them the opportunity to see the discussion that's taking place. The next two slides, we have it divided up, the 5-year enrollment projections, and this is giving you an idea, if we did not open any new schools, what the projected enrollment would be for these campuses over the next 5 years. And it's really, it doesn't tell you a whole lot if you look at it just in isolation, because you can see that there's a lot of differences in those numbers, and some of it is based on the capacity of those buildings. Our older facilities, as you know, have a much smaller capacity. When we're talking about Matsky, Hancock, Yeager, a lot of those schools, even the current Joel, is like an 850 capacity. So you've got to kind of look at all of that together and not just say, oh, there's only 900 students there, so why are we rezoning students? It could be the capacity of the campus. But we shared that with you just as a resource for you, and we'll also post that online. So so that we can get started, Christy Geron will...
Teresa, can I
Yes.
ask you a question real quick? I'm just looking at Adam right here, and they're 745. But we're renovating Adam right now. Are we enlarging Adam so they can handle more? Or are we keeping them pretty much at the same level?
Mr. Sprague answer that. It's a great question.
Adding a few additional classrooms, and we'll work with Teresa in terms of the new capacity of the campus as she goes through this process.
Sorry.
All right, thank you.
It's my understanding, though, that would not be at our current elementary capacity, which is around 1092.
Right.
Because I don't think you have the space to add that much.
Just a few classes. I think Ms. Hartley has a question as well.
Could you guys, would it be possible for y'all to provide us with the capacities for each school so that when we're looking at the numbers, we can, approximate capacities so that we can gauge, oh, that one's going to be way overloaded. You know, I look at it and I know, like you're saying, you have the 850 and they're going to have 1,200, but another one can fit 1,200 or, you know, could we get the capacity?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll get that to you.
Most of the slides when we're trying to help relieve, I share the capacity.
Okay.
And if I don't, then I can look it up and tell you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Great question. Okay, I'll turn it over to Ms. Geron.
Feels like it was just last year we were doing all the high school and middle schools, and as you remember, we didn't do any elementary at all last year, trying to, knowing that these 3 would be built this year. Tonight I'm going to go over a detailed presentation to explain these boundary changes that are going to occur in the 17-18 school year. In addition, we want to share with you several other changes or recommendations that we would like to help relieve a few schools, and then a few proposed changes to help clean up some of the boundary lines as a result of some new communities and development in the area. Inside your packet, you're going to have the entire PowerPoint, and includes many of the maps to help explain these proposals, and we're going to follow what we did last year. There'll be 2 maps usually for every change, kind of a broad one and then a zoomed in version with a land usage. So if there's any time that you need me to stop so you can get your bearings or me explain anything else, just let me know. All right, well, let's get started here. Oops, okay. This is our current attendance zones now, and as Teresa said, I'm going to point over here because I can face that, and then Blanca's going to show the cursor on y'all's screen so you can see where I'm pointing, okay? So we're going to populate 3 schools, and the first one is going to be 55, and you can see where we populate it. We're going to obviously pull from Pope, and that's where the people are. Then going down here to Joel and 56, Teresa said we're going to expand those boundaries to make Joel a lot larger. So you're going to see the most changes in that area involving Andre, Postma, and Joel. Okay? And then with the new Matsky replacement, our goal was to obviously, with Matsky being a larger campus, include Matsky in its attendance zone, and then make one little shift to Millsap. So we're going to show you those. And then again, some relief, and then clean up some boundary lines. But if you could take this map out of your binder, this will be help reference when I'm at, since there's 56 elementary schools, if you could take this map right here out of your binder, and when I show you the little ones, it'll be easier for you to understand when we're talking about those particular schools. All right, so we'll talk about Pope first and 55. As you can see, we are going to pull from, hold on, let me turn this way now, sorry. This is our first map, which shows all that brown area is Pope right now. And the red line shows where we want to pull from Pope and make that the Bridgeland attendance zone, Bridgeland new elementary school in Bridgeland. There's two res codes in here that 124A and 124B, and that they're named that because of PASSET. They have most of the students in those two areas, but we also have the front part of Bridgeland that we've pulled to help populate 55. With 55 being hopefully projected to open with 467 students, and then Pope having 673. So on the land usage map, on the next map, you can see on these land usage maps, the blue area is what PASSET says is our built out areas. The green area is where there's construction and still growing, and where they're making the plats and everything else. Beige area, there are no plans right now for those areas. And then the white areas are commercial. So when you're looking at that map, which is number 11, again, most of the students as of this time are right in this area. And 124A and B do plan on growing a lot in the next 5 years. Okay, but nobody right now is in 124D, and no one right now is in 3232. Okay,
Christy,
but
which one is 124A and B?
Okay, 124A is right here, and 124B is right here. Currently, there are, I can give you them broken down by res code, but I can tell you right now there's projected as 467 for A, B, 138, and then this little bitty apartment that they're building right now. Those add up to the 467. And there's no one at all in D, and there's no one in 3232. I think there's 5 or 4 kids in C, so. Okay. A lot of beige in 455 at this time, but these two areas, A and B, are booming. For example, 124A is supposed to double within the next 5 years, and 124B has 44 now and is supposed to be 364 in 5 years.
Christy, I'm sure we have this somewhere, but what's the capacity for number 55? I can't remember.
It's 1092.
Okay, cool. Just curious.
Where you've got where you're going across the blue right there with that red line, where you're dividing the blue section, what is there some kind of I guess my question is, are we going to go through a situation where we've got people living across the street from each other going to 2 different schools? Or is there a better division?
The division that we chose is the clearest division. When it goes, they're called, that little area is called, hold on, Lake, was it Lake? What is that one? Hold on, I have the plat here, hold on.
I'm thinking because over there, Bob, in the Bridgelands, they have a lot of sections, you know, those nice sections.
Right,
so it's probably like
It's
divided by a section.
There's First Bend. This area right here that we made, Res Code 138, is First Bend and Lakeland Bend. So they are kind of like in Fairfield where you have Summer Crossing, you have the different sections.
So these are enclosed portions of the subdivision that are grouped together and.
They're all that name in that section.
Christy, I'm looking at this in the area, the beige area that's, is bounded by Mason Road and House Hall Road, and that's not developed yet. Is the thought that when it is developed, that it will be zoned to Pope to try to take up the students that left?
I don't think that that has been, discussion as far as what we're gonna do with those lines, depending on how fast that, the growth occurs.
We are projecting a third elementary school for the Bridgeland community at some point down the line.
Okay. All right, and then in the end, this is what, again, the 55 would look like with, you could see kind of it's almost split in half in those two areas with a lot of growth more in this area. And there is still homes for sale in the Pope area too. Okay. Okay.
I'm looking ahead, based on that slide that you're on right now, what will Pope be at and what will 55 be at as far as student enrollment on opening day?
Projected 467, it would be 55, and 673 for Pope. We do have these projections, kind of a summary of all of them in the end. So if you want to look.
And that purple down there toward the end, Chrissy, that's not.
That's Postma.
That's a different color purple, right? Okay, all right, good, okay.
Many colors. There's 56 schools.
Teresa, when we have these mass neighborhoods, I'm just thinking back to Fairfield. Our elementaries are pretty transient from people going back and forth because we've got a whole undeveloped area of purple, and then we've got the one big area that's developed. So in all likelihood, depending on how quick that development goes in the purple, we could be revisiting these boundaries in a few years, because 55 could be well over capacity quickly and people having to move back to Pope.
You're absolutely correct. That's exactly what we talked about may happen in the future. We're hoping that, it would be for a period of time. We feel pretty confident that this will take us out about 5 years at least. Again, it's all going to depend on how quickly that area develops, but you're absolutely correct.
And it's really unfortunate, but it's also unavoidable. At the way that our growth goes in these communities, that you might be buying multiple Spirit shirts, just putting that out there. Letting the community know.
It's true. People do move to go maybe with a principal. There was one sitting out there, right there, that people moved in Fairfield to go with Donna Guthrie. And then the ISC took her away. So things happen. You got to roll with the punches. And I agree. Change happens.
The good thing is that at the elementary level, they grow fast. So you might have had to buy a new T-shirt anyway.
Well, and you're going to see tonight that, even in a community like Fairfield that's been established for a long time, and we have 3 elementaries, we're still making shifts in Fairfield to accommodate growth.
Shirt quilt, but yeah. That's right. Okay. All right, next was, again, the mission to populate 56 and Joel. And again, this is where we're going to have the most shifts, but the shifts in the committee's opinion really make sense, and we kept a lot of communities together. So again, we need to expand that boundary line so we could serve twice as many kids. So starting out, again, using your 16, 17 map is probably the easiest way to kind of reference this. We took these, passive has it divided differently, but this is 3 areas, all of Yopine Ranch, all of Remington Grove, and Westgate, west of the creek. We're taking all of this Andre section right here, and moving it to Joel. This is the only areas that we're moving to Joel, okay? And this is 709 projected students, okay? 709 projected students. And again, these entire communities will move. So all the kids will stay together. They'll just be going to a different campus. And remember, 56 is EE through 2, or PPCD through 2, and Joel would be 3 through 5. So in a minute, I'll show you the entire Joel zone, but this is the section that we're taking from Andre, and it's a very large section. It's those 3 subdivisions, and it's 709 projected resident students. Okay? And let me show you the land usage map.
That entire, I don't even know what
Outlined in
color
red.
that is. The ugly color. The whole, where it says Andre. Aqua, teal. Okay, teal.
Let's say blue, I got it.
Ugly. That from Andre all the way over, that entire color is going to Joel.
Right, that will
Okay,
be now
okay.
peach. Joel is right below, so we're going to turn that peach in a minute.
Okay.
Okay, and we keep them in their regular color now so you can see where they were. It's the easiest way to show you 16, 17 versus what we want to move. Okay, so if you look at the land usage map, again, this is to get your bearings straight. Okay, you have those 3 at Remington Grove, Yopon Ranch, and then Westgate west of the creek, moving them to Joel. Okay. But those are, again, large communities, all those kids going together, just going to a new campus. And anyone in those that are PPCD through 2nd will go to 56, 3 through 5 would go to Joel. Okay, and again, I'll show you Joel here in the next one.
Would this area, and this might be ahead in the pamphlet, would that area,
It's all right here.
go back one.
And
Will that Andre area, that blue across there, will that go to Hopper?
that one is, which one? Anthony, I'm sorry, Anthony, yes. Do what? Yeah, and they currently go to Anthony also. We're not proposing any middle school changes with this one. Okay. And then in the end, this is what Joel would look like. So again, anyone in the Peach area that was PPCD through 2nd, they would go to 56, and then 3 through 5 would go to Joel. So just making that larger, and we only pulled from Anthony. Okay.
Andre.
I'm sorry,
Andre.
Andre, the other A one.
And I was going to ask about Andre, about its numbers, but then I see coming up, we've got some things going up.
A flow right there, right
Yeah.
now.
Awesome.
Based on that, again, I might be jumping ahead, but hey, who cares? What would be the numbers for Joel and for 56 on this little scenario?
I'm gonna, Joel will be, hold on. Well, 1633. 1633, and we kind of used the model that we have this year, and hold on, let me find that number. It is
Split it in half?
right.
Okay.
Well,
that's what I want to know.
we did roll and get numbered, but we used based on now we have like 48% of them go to one campus and 52 go to the other, so it makes 56 to be around 849, the younger grades, and Joel to be 784. With 3 through 5, that totaling the 1633. Okay. Okay. All right. So we took a big chunk out of Andre. So we're now going to pull students from Postma and give them to Andre. And as you can see, Andre now, which is always barely, well, just because we make this red line around it, never really been a community school. All these kids right around it didn't go to Andre. They went to Postma. And so now we're making it a community school that is Canyon Lakes West and east of Fry Road And so this being Andre, all of that purple will now be that aqua color. And they will be projected at 961. So this is 569 students in both of those Canyon Lake subdivision. And we pulled 709, we're pulling 569 students and giving them to Andre. And again, it makes a nice little donut area where the school is in the middle, and then all the area around it would be Andre, a community school. Okay, and again, big, large subdivisions, Canyon Lakes, where all the kids are staying together, and just moving campuses to Andre. It's the only way we could make Joel and 56 extend the boundary lines. We found these two communities that fit perfectly with the model we have. Okay, and again, the land usage map, you can see this above there is Mira Mesa South. We'll talk about that in a minute. But again, the Andre line would be these red lines going all around here. And then that part of Andre over here. There's one little subdivision that did stay with Andre, and it's called Cypress Springs, right there. This one, bottom right, Cypress Springs. You know, the way this area is, and even when you look at your map, how dense it is, you have Duryea, this little part is Duryea, this little part is, you know, Walker right here. And you've got Elementary 55 up here, you know, you have Postmas right here, so.
Is that's just on, okay.
Where's
I
Postma
can't
on the
see that
map?
map, so I was curious.
Postma's right there.
There we go.
Okay. I see that. And what would that put Andre at?
Andre would be at 961.
Postma would be what? I don't remember what you said.
We'll do Postma here in
Other
just
one,
one
I'm
second.
Sorry, excuse me, okay.
Okay. One more from Postma. This area, this Freeman Douglas area on your map, it's all beige when you look at the land usage map. Nobody lives in there. I think in 5 years they predict 8 people. We are moving this from Postma to Walker to align with what we did last year, going to Hopper and to Cy Park. But again, nobody lives in there right now. This is just a res code change to from Postma to Walker. And you'll see that in the big map why this makes sense. But again, we want to keep it aligned with what we did with the middle and high school. Okay. And again, land usage map, you can see in that big area right there is commercial or industrial right here. And then those two areas where the development is supposed to be for the Freeman Douglas. Okay. I guess we're on 21.
You know what those two areas that you just had, is there anything planned for that? I mean, are we talking, there's not even any plans?
They predict that there's going to be, PASA predicts in 2021, 8 to 10 students, but nothing right now, and no concept plans.
But that's all slated for residential right there on the Grand Parkway?
That's the latest news that we have from PASA. Okay, so we've taken from Joel and Andre and Postma. So we're not taking from Joel, we're just Andre, Postma. And so now we need to give to Postma. So this area right here is Mira Mesa, one of our fastest growing areas along with Town Lake. I think there's currently, 124 students in this area. Right below that is purple. That is Mira Mesa South. We just recently got plats of land for that, and it's starting to grow really fast. So these two areas right here are the same community. And this currently is in the Postma zone. We want to move this Mira Mesa, original Mira Mesa, to Postma. That would make, again, those two communities staying together, and allow Rennell to be almost all Town Lake. So I think I said 125, there's 126 kids right there. And then that would make Rennell to be 704 and Postmo to be 832 projected students. But again, these two areas along with Town Lake are our fastest growing areas at this time.
Christy, what is the, what's the dividing line between, so I know that's all one,
The next
not
page.
between the purple and the brown, but between the brown and the brown.
Does that help better? With the land, the roads?
Yeah, what is that, what road is that? Or is that a road?
This is West Road. Okay, and then this isn't a road, that's just the subdivision dividing line, okay? And obviously Fry Road right here. And again, that's just a subdivision line, dividing line between there and Town Lake. You've got Greenhouse right here.
So that's Town Lake on the right?
Christie, have they finished West Road from Greenhouse to Fry? Have they
Sorry, say it again?
Have they opened West Road from, I think it's Greenhouse to Fry Road yet? They're going from Postma to Fry?
They have not all the
Okay.
way yet. Yeah, I think
I've
it's
seen it.
finished,
Yeah.
they're just not
I look
open
at it
yet.
every day. Yeah,
I think so.
it's good.
I think our buses tried to use it a little bit, but it kicks us out. So again, this area right here goes to Warner. This one does, right? Yeah, that's what I
Christie?
had. And this one goes to Brunel.
One more on, with that fast-growing area right there below West,
Uh-huh, Mira Mesa.
what would be, and that's going to Postma,
We're moving it to Postma. We recommend it to go to Postma.
did PASA give anything with the build-out, since it's so fast-growing with the build-out in that area, that's not the 832 number you gave me, is it?
No, this is 152. I can tell you that number here in just a second, in 5 years.
Okay, yeah.
152 in 5 years.
We also have an available school site in Mira Mesa.
I'm just curious what it would be.
If I remember correctly, the year was about 2021, 20?
That is correct.
I have 267, more than double in the next 5 years of this Mira Mesa. Okay? No, that's 152. And then Mira Mesa South, huh?
It's 28 students in 2021.
Mira Mesa South?
Yes.
Okay. 28, okay.
Yes.
So more than double in Mira Mesa, and then around 30 students in this 1 and 5. But again, Town Lake growing so fast, we would have to offer some relief. Is the opinion of the committee that with Town Lake growing so fast in this area right here, they couldn't take the growth in Town Lake and in Mira Mesa. And Postma, again, with the shifts that we've made already, this is a good time to move to Postma.
I know we're in the early stages, but y'all have really done a good job on this initially. This is huge.
It is
The
huge.
task that y'all had before you, and I like so far that we've stayed within our goals of setting our boundaries by keeping neighborhoods together. Nobody ever likes to move because it takes you out of your comfort zone, obviously. But long-term, this looks like it's really going to be beneficial to the district. And we hadn't even talked about the possible great things with transportation that I can see through this, where we're not going to have buses just passing like ships in the night through the neighborhoods.
And they were a part of the committee as well. Every move or every line we changed or considered, all of the people that were here had and a lot more work considered. This is just what we finally decided on.
No, I didn't mean to get off on that. I was
That's
just,
okay.
I couldn't
Thank
help
you.
but think about that as we were going through it, how good it's looking so far.
Okay, the Matsky replacement. Currently, Matsky, as Teresa said, is a small school. A lot of schools in that area are. It has an 818 capacity, where the new Matsky replacement is going to have 1092. So again, we needed to expand that boundary line a little bit to include Matsky, and in addition, make one little shift as a result of expanding it. So the first thing that we did is Hancock, who has a capacity of 856. Well, the other day they were 943. So building the Matsky replacement in the Hancock zone, we wanted to grab that whole area around it and pull it into the new Matsky. And this one, I'll show you better on the land uses map, but Cy Creek's right here. And then this whole area right here is like they're clearing it for a subdivision. But then this little area only has 30 kids. But then this area over here has 147. So again, goal here, we need to expand Matsky a little bit and then include it in its attendance zone and offer some relief to Hancock. Okay? So let me go to the next one. It kind of shows it better. Again, Cy Creek, the Matsky replacement, and then this is called Summer Crossing. What's it called? Mills Creek Crossing. Everyone's got a crossing. Mills Creek Crossing, and then this little area here is 30 students, and then 147 right here. Okay, so again, on the east side of the Matsky replacement, pulling from Hancock, relieving Hancock as it needed relief, giving some more to Matsky because it's going to be a newer, bigger school, was our first move. And then with that move,
When is that supposed to open?
yes, sir?
Matsky replacement?
I saw where they're clearing out the land at Mills Creek.
Right.
What is that, are those just gonna be homes or multi-housing or
It's single homes.
single home?
And I think, do I remember that they're going to be larger homes? Is that correct or no? Larger homes?
I mean, it's not a big plot to,
No.
really have a bunch of homes anyway, so.
It is
I was
homes.
just-
It's homes, and we've been told larger homes, I think was the, not rumor, but what we've been told. They've just cleared it but haven't started any construction.
And Roy, are we, since we're talking about the new Matsky, are we ahead on that or
Yeah,
timeline?
we're moving ahead on schedule right now. We are still working through some issues with the Mud District in terms of getting water connections, and we're still in negotiations with them right now.
Okay. So once we took the 177 students from Hancock to Matsky, we needed to take a little bit of out Matsky. And so, not that way. We looked at taking this little area on the far west of Matsky and giving it to Millsap. Okay. These three res codes right here make up 97 students. Okay. And if we look at the land usage map, it's Millridge Forest, Regency Forest Place, and Regency Oaks apartments in there. This is the area. In a minute, I'm going to talk about also recommending a middle school change. Right now, Hamilton Middle School has a very small pocket of Millsap students. And with this change, which we needed to make for Matsky, they'll have a larger pocket of students that will keep that same track. Again, currently these students are Matsky, Blisle, Cy Creek. And with these changes, we're recommending them now to be Millsap, and in a minute I'll show you Hamilton and then Cy Creek. So again, there's already Millsap students that have this track. This would just have more students that would be Millsap to Hamilton. Okay.
Christy, the neighborhood Tower Oaks Plaza, they go to what middle school now?
Which one?
It's right next, the blue, like Cheville, that's where my mom lives. But I was like thinking of,
Area, they go to Millsap right here, elementary.
right, and then the middle.
Hamilton.
Okay, so you'd be putting all that little section right over there with them. I think, yeah, and I mean, that's, okay, cool.
And
Great.
from Millridge to Millsap.
Where we put the new Matsky, it's almost like in the middle. I can go back here.
I'll tell you, I grew up in that blue zone on Cheville, and that's what I drove to Millsap when it opened. And so I would say differently that like it's the kids
drove?
right. Yeah, I drove. I was a late. I'd been in fourth grade a couple of times, but no, I'd been in. But we rode that all the time, obviously. And so I think those neighborhoods are right next door to each other, and so in my mind, it's not that far. Yeah. Yeah.
How many students was that? You said 97?
In
Talking about having
3382,
to go Millsap, Hamilton,
Cy Creek.
Cy Creek.
It was difficult trying to find an area. We had to zone some students out of Matsky because with pulling those kids from Hancock and leaving all of the students currently in Matsky, it made it too large. And then Millsap definitely has some available space. But when we started looking around the Millsap attendance zone, you know, for areas that we could provide relief to Matsky plus, you know, zone some kids to Millsap, it was the best scenario that we could come up with because Moore really does not have room. You'll see in one scenario, we're gonna move some students from Moore to Hamilton. So it, you know, we looked all around that and we certainly are open to any other suggestions that you may have in looking at that area that provides relief to Matsky.
No, I think the only other one that would, and it's probably the same distance, really, if you went Adam, but then you'd be actually going Adam, Arnold, Cy-Fair. I mean, you'd be knocking out. So that change would be even more drastic. I'm just looking as far as distance-wise, Adam and Millsap from from Mill Ridge.
Right now, currently, like I said, Matsky's around 1,000, and the new Matsky's going to be 1092, and this whole area right here is 177. So that's a lot. We had to pull around 100 to go back down to what was more realistic, and then what that does is Matsky then is projected at 1065,
So go back
and
to that
Millsap
one
would be 844.
slide. Go back to that one slide. I just
This one?
something came up. Yeah, wait, no,
Okay.
no, it had blue on it though. No. No.
That's later.
No.
It's other.
It had 249 on it. I remember
That
seeing
one?
it. That one.
Okay.
All right. What area is that in the top right? Very top, 221. Champions Arbor?
Hold on. I'm trying to find 221 on mine.
Like you've got Prestonwood Forest there. Is that blue area right there zone to Hancock now?
Yes.
And would they stay at Hancock? They stay at Hancock. Okay, so they're not going to Matsky. Okay.
Just that little
Okay.
section.
That had, okay, I'm good with that. All right.
Touch on that Mill Ridge thing, just that the kids, you know, to the left there, they do go to Hamilton and Cy Creek. So you could, to me, in my head, you couldn't pull them to an Adam or an Arnold because everybody right around there still goes to Cy Creek.
Right.
So.
And
No,
currently,
I know, but you
they're
didn't say you
Matsky,
didn't think it
Belial,
was a good
Cy
idea.
Creek. Currently, they're Matsky, Belial, Cy Creek. Since we're changing them to Millsap, we want to do the changing. You'll see it in a minute, Millsap, Hamilton, Cy Creek. Because otherwise, they'd be the only one that went to Belial. We don't want that. Okay, so this is what Matsky would look like if approved recommended changes. So again, we took this whole area from Hancock, and then we took this whole area away from Matsky and gave to Millsap. So that's what the new Matsky replacement lines would look like. All right. Those slides that you just saw populated 55, 56, and Matsky replacement. The next few slides are going to talk about enrollment relief.
Wait.
Oh.
I know. Go back. What,
Yeah, she's right there, yeah.
right, what's the area called to the left of New Matsky? I know that, I see the neighborhood right
Right.
there. It's,
Hold on. Right, let me get to that page. Mills Crossing,
wait, what happened to my map?
this, wait,
You got it.
it's,
You were on the right one. It's
Yeah.
right before the grand finale, or the
who's
finale
pushing
of
that?
this
I'm-
session.
Who's pushing that? I'm not pushing that. Yeah, that is, called Mills Crossing. Right there?
No? No, it says, on the top, it says Matsky replacement proposed boundary.
Page 28.
That one, that's it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's got a number on it, sorry. So, what's that neighborhood right there?
This one? That's called Mandarin Park. Okay, maybe Mandolin, yeah, it's little on my page. I'm going far, close, and my eyes aren't adjusting that fast.
And then, how many students are in Mandarin?
540,
Mandolin?
541.
Belay, mandolin. How many?
Hang on. 541 projected is 37, and then Grant's Trace is 687.
It's a deep subdivision.
It's very, it goes way, it's narrow and deep.
It's pretty big.
In that neighborhood, there's 500 kids? Okay, I was like, man, a bunch of crackheads?
Yeah, no.
There's no way. How many kids are in that neighborhood?
This one right here? Mandolin, okay, what did I just say? I was looking up the other one. This was 40-something, what was it?
It's West Coast 541 and there's 41.
41 kids right here. And then 687 is 49 kids right there. Oh,
That's all right.
okay, so right to the left of the part that's sticking up for the New Maskey, right next to Cy Creek, if you will, that is 41, I think they said, and then this one right here is 49 students
Is
right there.
that,
Those are
is that,
Mandolin and,
is the top of that little area right there, is that Grant Road? Where's Grant Road?
Grant Road's right here.
Okay.
Let me get back.
So, how many kids are below Grant Road?
Hang on, just a second. Let me go back to that one. Approximately 80-something, 90 total maybe, 40-something, 40-something.
And on that, on page 28, we have them going to Hancock? Right, currently. Are they going to Matsky?
No, it's 687 and 541.
Systems what?
It's West Coast 687.
The only adjustment
Yeah.
we made is the area right there beside the new Matsky,
Right.
that we moved into the new Matsky attendance zone. We did not, those students that you're referring to in that section currently go to Hancock, and we've left them at Hancock.
Right. Hancock is a smaller capacity. And these two, again, we wanted the new Matsky to be in the Matsky attendance zone, and that's 177 students, plus this little area eventually. And so, Matsky currently is at around 1,000. So if you add 177, you're at 1,177. And again, that's already over capacity as a new school. So then we took around 97, around 100 out on the west side to go from Matsky to Millsap.
The challenge is,
What would, I'm just curious, not tonight, what it would be if Grant Road was that divider and the 87 were at Matsky. I mean, you literally come out of that neighborhood, hang a left, and you're at the new Matsky.
If you go to the next slide that shows the Matsky replacement proposed boundary.
Because somewhere between
Okay,
there,
no,
you've got
not that one. There's
I know, this one.
the DPS office and all that
Okay.
over on there.
you see the pink section down there that's below Mills Road? And it's, go to your right, or go to my right, whatever, right below. It's kind of a triangle down there.
To the
That
right of
little
Luann.
triangle. That might make more sense going to Hancock and bringing what Don's talking about into Mansky. So how many kids are in that subdivision?
I'm
Split
trying to
neighborhood,
find
that's
exactly what
parity.
you're talking about. We can work on looking at that in the different areas that you're talking about. I think the challenge was being able to, we just don't have enough room to move all of those kids. We'd have to push more out towards like Millsap or more out of Matsky if we pull more of those kids in that you're talking about. And I think the sheer location, then it kind of creates the domino of possibly having to shift more kids then to like more elementary and then more to Hamilton. But we can absolutely look at that. And if
part of
you're
the
asking for Grant, for us to look at a scenario where Grant would be the divider between Hancock and the new Matsky?
Yes. And
Okay.
part of the reason I want you to look at that because I'm thinking that if I'm a parent in that neighborhood and I know how the streets flow over there and I can drive by this new school popped up beside me, we'll probably get some questions related to that, and I'd like to know more in depth of the complete rationale behind it and how the numbers would look.
We can do that. We can have that for you. Absolutely. And you're talking about this area. Hold on, I know that area right there. Well, that triangle,
That
like you
one,
said.
yeah, right where your pointer is, right there.
531. Okay, there's 119 kids in there.
That's all right. That's right.
It's 119.
This little green area right
I
here.
got that. Okay, like you said,
And
87.
then if this stayed at Hancock.
Right, 119. Okay,
Or
It
if
is.
this
It's-
went and this still went.
gotcha.
We always turn
Gotcha,
there to
thanks.
go to the coat factory.
Yeah, the Burlington.
Yeah, Burlington. So that could easily go to Hancock.
Gummit.
What'd you say?
And everybody knows I'm wearing blue jeans and not slacks because I got up.
Okay, so we will look at that, but this proposal has this part coming from Hancock and then this part going to Millsap. All right, next, mission relief. There are a few schools that we needed to try to help relieve. First one being Moore to Hamilton. Let me get to that page. Moore's capacity is 974. The other day, they were at 1116. The three res codes in this area make up 199 projected students. That's Hunters Valley Forest, Lakewood Forest 10 East, and then Western Estates. So again, those three res codes alone make up, 199 students. This would make Moore's projected enrollment to be 945 for the 17-18 school year, and a big relief, and it'd be right around their capacity. And then Hamilton, who has a capacity of 1037, has plenty of room, and they would be projected at 1029. So both schools will be right around the capacity of the building by moving this little area to Hamilton and offering a big relief to Moore. Okay, and looking at the land usage map, again, that area, you can kind of get your bearings. You have Malcolmson right here. You have North Eldridge Parkway is a curvy line going up and down. Again, Grant Road right here. So this part right here going from these three residential areas going to Hamilton for more needed relief.
Christy, is there a natural division between Western Estates and Heatherwood Village? Or is it-
No,
I know
there's
Lakewood-
not. That's just the subdivision area. There's not a main road.
I know that whole area between Lakewood and Hunters Valley, it all kind of flows into one giant neighborhood anyway, so.
Right. The dividing line between that Lakewood, it's called Lakewood area, and Hunters Valley would be Malcolmson on the north part. And again, pulling all of these from Moore and giving them to Hamilton.
They're at Moore and they'd go to Hamilton,
Yes.
that entire red area, or blue surrounded by red.
Moore needs big time relief. And Hamilton has a larger capacity. Okay, now going to the far west side of the district.
Christie,
Oh,
real quick,
yes.
does that neighborhood, would it then currently go more to Hamilton? I mean, does it currently go more to Hamilton, and will it go Hamilton to Hamilton?
It'll be Hamilton, Hamilton.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. Okay. Now moving far west, we have, this is actually on our border. The other day at Swinky, there were over 1,200 students. We chose a newer area of Fairfield. It's the southwest corner of Fairfield. It's called Summer Crossing. It's right here. There's around 74 students in that area. It's not like a lot of relief for Swinky right now, but it's going to help, and it would project Swinky to be around 1,150 students. Alt has room, and so we would give this section right here, which is south of Cypress Wood. I'll show you the land usage map. South of Cypress Wood, west of Fairfield Place, and then north of 290, again on our western boundary line. This whole little area to the bottom left, the white area, is all North Cypress Medical Center. And then this whole area right here is the Baptist Church. So that is already, it will not be residential. There are empty homes in here. PASA says that it's built out, and it probably is built out, but they're still selling homes in this area. But it's not a very large area, but it was an opportunity for us to provide Swinky some relief and give some to Alt. Okay. We are going to give a little bit more to Alt, so I'm not going to give you Alt's numbers until I show you that one. But this is some Swinky relief right here. Okay. Keith also is over 1,200 students, and we took these two areas, which are going along the Mushkey side. These two areas have around 117 students. This is 120 right here. It's south of Edworthy Road, and this is 118, and that's called Fair Meadows. There's, again, projected to be 117 combined in both, but there's nothing in 120 right now. So all of this area over here already goes to Alt. So we're just going up a little bit and pulling 117 students from Keith and giving them to Alt. Again, Keith needs relief. They're both over 1,200, Swinky and Keith, and Alt, again, has the room.
So 118 has 117 students? Or the,
Yes, sir. 118, this part, or this blue part.
and then on 120, is that going to be commercial off of Edworthy right there? Is that what that is?
This green, according to PASS, this is where they are building now. There's nothing in there right now, but they are building in there, and they show this is commercial. We, again, don't know that to be true. We feel that there's going to be maybe more residential area, but that's what PASA has right now. And even when you look out, this is, I think, 5 years, I think it's 8 to 10 students. It's not really big right now, but they're bigger parts of land, acreage.
But if they do put, let's say they put an apartment complex there or something, then we've really given that relief to Keith, big time.
Yeah, big time.
Okay.
We looked at a lot of options and it was difficult. This is something that we decided on since Alt had this space. And you'll see something in a minute that we will also take from Alt. But
Christy, again, let me ask a question because maybe you said it and you probably did, so I apologize.
That's okay.
But the Fair Meadows, you say there's no homes in there right now?
No, that's where there's none in there at all right now.
Okay.
And that's projected, I think, at 3 next year, and then 114 on the other. But again, roughly 117, 120 kids in these two areas, and nothing there right now.
Because there is a new subdivision going in right off of Mushkey that's behind, I forgot anyway, but they've already got like 8 or 10 homes built it's basically behind an antique place on Muskey. And I never would have thought there was enough room back there, but.
That is Fair Meadows. I think this is the commercial part. This white part is the commercial part. I think that is Fair Meadows.
I mean, they've already got houses going in there, so I'm just,
Street cut through.
to me, it looks a little strange to have that, you having that blue part going to Keith, and then you've got a green up at the top going to, that's what gonna go to Alt?
This right here?
Yeah.
All of this would go now to
All of that,
alt.
all of that,
yeah.
okay, all right.
The blue
okay,
and the
all right,
green.
I'm sorry.
Well, I know. If
Misunderstood.
I go back here.
Red line, a red line.
If I go back
okay.
here, right, this is what shows what they are now, where they go to Keith right now. And we're looking at moving this entire red area to go to alt.
Okay,
And when I change to the land usage, it is blue and green too. But the green means there's construction in their building, and the blue, according to PASA, is built out.
okay.
And
all right.
again, 114 in this area, and then projected 3, but nothing is in there now. 117 total.
Okay.
And I think that's your antique shop right there, that white part.
Then I've got a question. Are we going, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'll
okay.
ask a question in a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. The next slide, this is alt to AROB. Again, we gave those 2 sections to alt from Swinky and Keith. And this section right here, this is where green goes. And we made a change last year, if you remember. This is 646, which is Villages of Cypress Lakes, southeast of Mushkey, and then the Grand Cypress Apartments that it's right behind Green goes right there. These 2 sections right here combined have 183 students, and we would like to move them to AROB. AROB is this blue area right here, and again, above is Keith, and to the left is alt. So currently, they're the only group that is to the west of Mushkey that don't go to Salyards. We moved them last year, Ranch to Woods and Salyards to Goodson. And so when you do look at a middle school map, it's the only little alt part that continues to go to alt and then doesn't go to Salyards. So it was a good move to move these 2 sections from alt to AROB. AROB has room. A. Robinson, I should say. So we picked that. And again, it's 183 students projected for next year. Okay.
All right, a question, one more question. Because the dark green section that's right above that,
That's Keith.
that's Keith.
Keith kind of splits, Mushkey kind of goes the middle between the Keith zone.
Right.
Right. And this is the only part that is east of Mushkey that still goes to alt. Okay, so you have all of Swinky in the far, you have all of Swinky over here in the far west, then you have all the southern part, and then you have Keith kind of goes across Mushkey, just splits. Okay, but this is
A different middle school, Bob, so that's a good point to, put them
when
with
I,
their kids.
and I'll point that to y'all in just a second. But again, they currently go to Goodson, and then the only 2 little areas that continue to go to alt, and then jump over and go to Goodson and don't know anybody yet from Goodson. Okay.
I guess I didn't realize all that green, does that go all the way
Right
to
here?
Cypress Rose Hill Road, or Spring Cypress, what is it, Spring
So
Rose?
Huffmeister up here.
Yeah, that right up there, so,
That's Cypress Lakes Golf Course.
Yes, this hole right
That
here
is,
is
but-
Cypress Lake. Let me show this one. Okay, there you go.
okay.
All that Cypress
All
Lake.
that above that, where they're building right there, where they built, above the golf course. So that all goes to Keith.
Right. Keith, and then Goodson and Woods. This area right here, they do this year, they go to Ranch, but that's a 17-18 change from Ranch to Woods. The middle school change occurred this year, and this area went from Salyards to Goodson. So now, again, it aligns with going to Goodson, and then they will go to Woods.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. Owens also needed relief. This big, large area right here, I'll show you the land usage, you'll see it better, is almost all industrial. This is 529 and this is Wyman Road. There's a mobile home park on Wyman Road. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to, this is 93 students live in this entire area, or projected to live in this entire area. It looks like this. So it's just this little bitty part right here. And currently they go to Owens, and if you look, Haregrove is right here. So these students, and there isn't an entrance to this mobile home park off of 529. They have to go down to North Eldridge. So they'll just exit out North Eldridge and then go straight to Haregrove. Haregrove needed or could use students, and Owens has a capacity of 827, and the other day they were 947. So again, this is 93 students, but again, it's offering some relief to Owens and adding students to Haregrove. Let me look at the other one. Okay, so after making this change, it goes Haregrove. It puts Haregrove at 830 and Owens at 827. And again, Owens' capacity, I said, was 827. So they're perfect. Okay. This was not a enrollment relief as much as we were looking at this area, and we looked at Bang's enrollment, we looked at Danish's enrollment, and we look at this line right here being 1960. This whole little pink triangle right here is Cyfair Hospital. So they're in the Danish zone, but there's not any residential in this area. And it looked like it connected this little square here. This is directly behind ISC. This is White Oak Bend. And in that area, there's 70 students. And with Danish, with them moving from Danish to Bang, this makes Bang would have 1026 and Danish will have 980. Moving this little part right here, it's also, kind of transportation, or right in this area to go right by Bang with everybody else in Bang over here.
How many?
Both have capacities over 1,000.
That little area's got 70.
Mm-hmm.
What about that blue area above it? What's it got?
That blue area is several things. It is 924 and 682. Okay, and 924. Okay, how many? Is it 47? 47? Is that what you said? I couldn't hear. 52? Okay, so the top left rows go right here. That one right here has 52. And then 682 right here. Let me go to the land usage, it's better. That one has 50. So 50 and 52. It's 102.
102. Okay.
You have, right.
So you wouldn't, that's too many to put
We
in
didn't
Bang?
look at that. We can look at that, but we're mostly looking at that area that, again, jumped across from Danish, 1960. And it's connected to this little pink right here, but this is really all Cyfair Hospital. So we were looking at highway, or 1960 being kind of really the main school dividing line. If you look at Danish, it spreads out all along 1960. Oh, these kids right here go to Emmett, which is over here. And then these kids, and then Jones Road being the dividing line there. But that, again, this is Emmett over here.
Would that Danish neighborhood then go Campbell, or would they go Cook?
Campbell.
And then where?
Ridge, Cypress Ridge.
Okay.
Okay, next one, these are kind of just, again, new communities that have, that are in the area. We have Summerall Park, I can't, Res Code 18, we're on page 42. Res Code 18 is called Summerall Park, and Res Code 38 is a brand-new section or addition of Summerall Park. It's new construction. This is the exact same neighborhood. We want to keep this neighborhood together, so we want to move them from Lowry to Holmesley. Right now, it's only around 13 students, but again, if you could be able to see this, one of them's purple, one of them's blue. We want them both to be blue. Make that one on the left side, 38, go to Holmesley, along with 18, which already does go. 38 is the brand new area, the purple side on the left. And again, not very large areas, but we want to keep those two subdivisions together. And there is construction and there are kids. And right now they do go to two different schools. So we're trying to keep those two together. Okay. And again, the land usage, you can see those two green areas are the two brand new all green construction. Okay. Then we have another area. We're going to go from Holmesley to Lowry, so we're going to go back. And again, not a very large area, but this area right here is green and developing. It makes sense for transportation-wise. This area is called Fountains at Copperwood. It is houses. I think it's, when I look at the land usage map, I think it's called villas at Copperwood. So this is not named correctly on this PASA map, but it's actually called Fountains of Copperwood. And these students, we want them to go to Lowry. They would just go up that Lakeview Haven Drive and then pull right into Lowry right there. So this part would now be from Holmesley to Lowry, a newer development. Again, only 12 students, but we would move them from Holmesley to Lowry. Okay, so looks like the election map here. So if you look, this is a summary, the 17-18 map. You can see, in going through this, look at the 3 red stars. We took from Pope to go to the new elementary in Bridgeland. Then if you look down at Joel, we expanded Joel's attendance by moving a large area from Andre. Then we took a large area from Postma to Andre to make it a community school. We took Mira Mesa from Rennell and gave it to Postma, keeping Mira Mesa, all those communities together, and making Rennell almost all of Town Lake. We moved that little Freeman Douglas area to where no students were to Walker, and now it's aligned with the Hopper and Cypress Park, which is what we did last year. Matsky replacement was just 2 little shifts. We wanted that Hancock area we wanted Matsky to be in its attendance zone. So this area from Hancock we gave to Matsky, and then we pulled a little area of Matsky to Millsap. Then we have our relief, which we just went over. We have the Moore to Hamilton, Swinky to Alt, Keith to Alt. As a result, then Alt to A-Rob. And then kind of an Owens to Haregrove, then a little cleanup with Danish to Bang, and then Lowry to Holmesley, Holmesley to Lowry. So these are 22 schools that we touched for the elementary boundaries to populate 55, 56, Matsky replacement, and then relief and a little bit of cleanup. When we do that, these are the projected enrollments for those schools, and these are residents only for each one of the 56 elementary schools. We did break down, again, based on that kind of 52% is your PPCD through 2nd grade, and 3 through 5 is roughly around 48% to project what those would be, since we can't do that by grade yet right now. We should have a good estimate of totals. And you can see where, without looking at capacities, you can see, we've looked at them, that the numbers work out pretty well. Okay? Then with that one change that we did from Matsky to Millsap, we do have one recommendation for a middle school change. And again, this is our current middle school map. Okay, and then there's 39 students, 40 students right here that now we would like to send them from Belial to Hamilton to make them be Millsap, Hamilton, Cy Creek, just like we, to align with what we did last year. And again, a small pocket of Millsap kids go to Hamilton. Now a larger pocket of students would go to Hamilton and then on to Cy Creek.
Those were the ones that were Matsky Blau that we talked about earlier.
Right,
Okay.
there are around 100 elementary, 97, and then there's 40-ish for middle school. Okay. And then this is what again, it's a 40 kid swing going from Belial to Hamilton. So that's what the new projections would be for both of those schools. And then with this current map here, this is what the 17-18 middle school zones would look like. And if you look, I want to show you that little bitty area right here. This is before was the area that would only go to Alt. It's the east of Mushkey. So this little group would go to Goodson, but they would go to Alt. And they were the only ones that didn't go to Salyard. So that's that area. And then that Freeman Douglas area, 32, you can see by making it go to Walker, they would then go to Hopper. And I don't have the high school lines on here, but they would go to Walker, Hopper, and then Cy Park to make those align to match with what we did before.
Christy,
Yes, sir.
could you go back to page 36 and let me ask you one more question where I was a while ago?
What page is that? 36. Oh, that's close.
Page 36. And that's where we're showing Alt to A. Robinson. But that area above to the east of Mushkey that's showing Keith, that is below Louetta, or in that area, how many kids are in that area that go to Keith?
It's about
A
640.
lot.
Yeah, the 640 section.
Blancas is 294.
640 and 601.
Oh, yes, this is what we did consider originally, which is 294 students in those two res codes. And that was a swing from Keith to A-Rob, and it basically made A-Rob be over 1,200, and it brought Keith down to 900. And so we tried to find something in between. And then this having 183 students and really making more sense when it came to the middle school feeders, now being the only group right now that goes to Alt and then goes to Goodson, it made more sense to consider this area with the middle school and high school changes that we made last year. Last year, they did go to Salyards, and it wasn't as big of an issue, but we moved them to Goodson, and so now they're the only ones now that are Alt, Goodson, and Woods.
Well, I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the proposal out the next 5 years. And just getting to 2021, then you've got Keith up at 1211, and we've got A. Robinson at 897.
Right.
So, I mean, I was wondering why we couldn't look at going ahead and moving those to A. Robinson and relieving Keith, even though at this point in time, because there's already, like I said, there's already a couple of new places that are being leveled. So I was just wondering if that was something to take a look at and consider.
We can look at that. We couldn't do both right now. A-Rob couldn't handle both of those areas. But we could look at other options possibly for relieving Keith.
Okay, all right.
But again, when you look at Swinky has to go to Keith or Alt. And you look at Keith, they have to go to Swinky or Alt. And
Well, there's also, there's a new subdivision that is up Muskie I live off that road. I would be able to say it. Thank you, Mushkey. And Cypress Church, is it Cypress Church that's up there? Okay, there's a new subdivision, and that subdivision is gonna feed Keith. And yet, when you look at it, it's probably logically needs to go to A. Robinson. Hidden Harbor, that's what it is. And I know Trendmaker's building in there, and I think there's already 24 homes that are up, and they got a great big play park, so you know there's gonna be a lot of kids. In fact, it's more than two. There's a lot of homes going in.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know whether you've looked at that or not, but you,
Laura just said we have one student in that area right now, but I'm sure it's gonna
okay,
build and grow.
okay.
We
Large
can
kid.
we can look at those areas. We did play a lot with. We did play a lot with that whole area up there with Farney and, you know, A-Rob and Spillane, or not Spillane, Swinky and Keith. And it was very difficult to try to move some students, especially when you look at middle schools and everything else. So.
Is there any plans, or do we have any land up in that area to build another elementary school? Because they just keep throwing up homes in that area.
That is an area that we looked at and would be ideal, but at this time, there was not any land available for another elementary school in that area.
There it is. I mean, it's one of the new subdivisions, the bottom part, they've got to bring in.
Do we have
flood
any
people
other
looking at these
questions?
houses.
Anyone? Any other questions? Thank you so much. I know this is very confusing and it's very hard for us to all envision it, but you really helped us a lot with all of your different maps. Thank you so much for doing
You did a
that.
super job, Christine.
Good job, Christine.
Thank you.
Great job.
It's not in your PowerPoint, but we did include a summary page of res codes that all the high school, you've seen that one before. It's every res code that's going to be changing in the 17-18 school year for high schools for sure. And then if the ones that are included in this recommendation, the ones that would be changing. In addition to the verbiage that we're going to put on the website tomorrow, along with the PowerPoint and everything else. So in your packet.
Question is, if a student's going to be a fifth grader next year, would they stay at their elementary school, or would they have to go to their new?
To stay.
Okay.
Thanks, Debbie. Any other questions? Thank you very much. I think that concludes, unless I'm wrong, our agenda for this evening, and we'll look forward to seeing everyone Monday night and naming some elementary schools. We'll be looking forward to that. See you Monday. Thank you.